असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्वी नावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Good evening. We see there is so much of struggle in the world, right? Everybody is struggling. Struggling for what? Struggling for basic necessities of life. Life has become a kind of battle. We want to acquire skills. Skill is required to get good job. Job is required to have good money. Money is required to provide for ourselves, right? Why should the world be so competitive? We are getting tired, right, in the process, because it has become a kind of battle. Struggle. When the struggle ends, Swamiji says beautifully, struggle and peace cannot go together. Struggle and peace cannot go together. Only when the struggle ceases, you can have peace. But you can't bring the struggle to zero, because we are constituted in such a way We have to struggle. We have to struggle with the external world and we have to struggle with our own inner world. Can't be reduced. The intensity of the struggle can't be minimize it. For example, the book which takes us a full year to read and understand, Vivekananda would do it in 1 week. Where is the difference? Efficiency of the instrument, right? Mind. Vivekananda, Eka Santagrahi. You would read once, you would understand and remember everything. Extraordinarily pure mind. Okay? His level of concentration, his power of absorption, understanding, remarkable. Somebody was astonished and surprised at Vivekananda's mental capacities and capabilities. This is supernatural. The disciple said, ఇది సామాన్య మనిషికి సాధ్యం కాదు, ఇది అసాధారణమైన విషయం. You're a superhuman. Vivekananda said, there's nothing superhuman about me. There's only, the instrument is very powerful. Wherever he wanted to focus, it would go there. Paul Dyson, a German philosopher, Vivekananda was his guest for a few days there in Germany. I think he was in London. Yeah, he was staying at the time in London. So one day, as Vivekananda was his guest, the professor called Swamiji for breakfast. Swamiji was in another room. So he called out his name and said, Swamiji, please come for breakfast. Swamiji didn't reply. So the professor got annoyed a bit and then he came and Vivekananda was reading with great concentration on book. And then the professor said, I called you for breakfast, you didn't respond. You wanted to tell that it was discourteous on your part. నేను పిలిచినా పలకలేదు, విల్ఫుల్గా. Deliberately he ignored me, అనుకున్నాడు ఆ ప్రొఫెసర్. But I didn't hear you, Swamiji said. I didn't hear you. No. I called out to you in such a loud voice. Impossible. మీరు వినలేదన్నాడు అబద్ధం. మీరు విననట్టు నటిస్తున్నారు. Vivekananda said, I didn't hear you, really. Because he was so focused and so immersed in reading the book. His mind actually completely detached from the rest of the world. He was so focused in reading the book that he was reading. And his mind was completely detached. మనకు కూడా అప్పుడప్పుడు జరుగుతూ ఉంటుంది కదా. When we are watching a movie, one mosquito comes and sucks our blood. Right? We are so absorbed and so engrossed in watching the movie, you don't notice the mosquito. Suppose you are not engrossed on anything like that. You are just doing like this. As soon as the mosquito alights on your body, immediately you notice it, right? It happens for us also. Our own problem is we can't concentrate at will. For example, movie, it drags our concentration. But a yogi, a person like Vivekananda, they would focus at will. Wherever they wanted their mind to go, it would go there. And how much of time they want the mind to be there, it would be there. That is the difference between an ordinary individual and people who have trained their minds, who have trained, their focus and attention. All this will happen. Are there any methods, Swamiji? Yes. The simplest is repeat Omkara. Okay? It's not a faith-based thing. Om is a very potent tool to help you achieve a right degree of concentration. Why and how, you may ask? Because particularly you are learning languages. This one sound symbol, Om, contains all the languages in it. How, Swamiji, you may ask? Om is made up of 3 letters. A, U, Ma. మీకు చెప్పాను నేను. A. When you utter A, you have to use your throat. How you pronounce A? A. This sound is coming from ear. U, you have to roll it. Ma, you have to close your lips, right? Without using these 3 or any one of or 2, can you make any sound? You have to use the entire. This is the total sound producing apparatus. Throat, palate, and then lips. Total sound producing apparatus. Whatever the language you may speak, whichever sound you may make, you have to use this sound apparatus only, right? So they have taken that 3 letters, A, U, Ma. So this encompasses the entire sound producing apparatus. And then the letter that is produced from that particular part, only one letter, A, only this is sufficient. For certain letters, actually, words, actually, you have to use the entire apparatus. U, only the middle part. Ma, only the last part. So they have taken one letter from each of these, parts of the sound producing apparatus, and then they combined it. Auma, 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 Auma. If you do it fast, it becomes Om. It's okay. The distinctiveness of each of these sounds, if you remove, A is pronounced in one particular way, U is pronounced in one particular way, Ma is pronounced in one particular way. The distinctiveness that characterizes each of these sounds, if you separate and they merge into each other, when they merge into each other, then completely another sound comes, that is Om. It's not just in Sanatana Dharma, it is there in other religions, other religious cultures also. In Islam, for example, after namaz they say Ameen. In Christianity, after saying their prayers, they say Amen. There also Ama is more pronounced. They have not removed the distinctiveness of these letters. It is kept it as it is. In India only, if you go to the north, they call Ram. They don't say even Rama. They say Ram. Here in Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, if you say Rama. Further down, further south you go, Tamil Nadu, Raman. The same country, from north to south when you come, so much of a difference, the same letter pronouncing. So this Amen, Amin, Om, actually more or less same, A, Ma only. So because this is called the primordial sound, the first sound, before the universe came into existence, there was one particular sound. What could be that sound? That sound, actually, Rishis detected it. Rishis had experienced in their meditation. This is called Anahata Dvani. That is actually this primordial sound, first sound, Om. Because it is the first sound before the universe came into existence, it is a very powerful sound symbol. It is also called God's sound form, Shabda Brahman. If you have to represent God in sound form, through sound, this is the most appropriate sound symbol to represent the divine. And is also the sound that got produced before the universe of name and form came into existence. That's the reason, if you utter this, because it contains all the sounds of all the universe, entire universe, and all the sounds of all the languages, is a very sacred symbol, sound symbol. By uttering it, what happens? Your mind becomes pure. When the mind is pure, you will attain concentration like Vivekananda. So, when you attain that degree of concentration, instead of 1 year, to learn a language, it would be sufficient for you to spend 1 month to acquire proficiency in any language. That's why I try to improve the efficiency of the instrument. Okay, parallelly we have to do. We are taking so much today from the external world which pollutes our mind or which makes our mind impure. Okay, which defiles our mind as it were. And that makes us lose our concentration bit by bit. Parallelly, we have to do something else also, other thing, to purify the mind, right? మైండ్ పాడేది చాలా లోపలికి వెళ్తుంది, మైండ్ ఇంప్యూర్ చేసేటువంటిది. బట్ మనసును పరిశుద్ధం చేసేది అన్నది చేయాలి కదా మరి ప్యారలల్గా. దాట్ వీఆర్ నాట్ డూయింగ్. That which helps us to purify the mind, no methods, no practices. And how it takes a long time for us to acquire any skill. That's why it's important you purify your minds. As young people, there's no faith, belief involved here. It's a pure science. So utter this Omkara as much as you can without any inhibition. That will help you to purify your mind. That will help you to acquire right concentration. Thank you. Have a nice evening.